would be discussing composting techniques as a process in solid waste management systems. So we would be discussing this topic today. And composting comes under the umbrella of processing and recovery from the solid waste as a functional element along with the transfer and transport. Here it is before sending the waste into the disposal sites. Here is the brief story of home composting setup. We have organic substances, organic things which we consume, and the leftover, which is called as waste, is sent to the composting bin where it is decomposed by the organic by the aerobic microorganisms and converted to a humus-like material which acts as a soil conditioner, and it can be applied to the vegetation gardens and the green belts across the city, as well as into the parks, stadiums, and many other areas in the city. So moving on to the basic definition and discussing more commercialized setup of composting in terms of improved finished product, which is compost powder for different applications in daily life. Microorganisms in the waste break down biodegradable material to produce compost. These microorganisms also destroy pathogens which might be dangerous to animals, humans, and plants during a process which lasts 4 to 6 weeks. So we have observed two things over here, that first of all, they would be responsible for decomposition of the organic waste, the microorganisms or the bacteria. And the other thing is that they would be destroying the pathogenic microorganisms which are present in the solid waste during that process of 4 to 6 weeks. Those would also be destroyed by these bacteria which are responsible for decomposition as well. How would these pathogenic microorganisms will be killed depends upon the different conditions which are occurring during this process, and in upcoming topics we are going to discuss those conditions as well. If we are going to produce compost, then there must be some objectives or targets or goals for its development or manufacturing. So what are the basic objectives of having a compost setup in your community solid waste management system? Remember, I have shown you a picture which is quite simple picture, and it describes the home compost setup. You can install a simple and very easy to operate setup at your home, and you can divert that waste which had to be sent to the landfill or the community collection network. You are diverting that waste to the compost bin, and then getting a compost like material which is like very helpful in improving the soil fertility. But at the other side, here we have to discuss regarding the community solid waste management system, which deals in with the tons of solid waste, and the quantity which is arriving in community solid waste management system is very huge. And for that quantity, there is a lot of hindrance in terms of the segregation of the solid waste by the community management setup, and it is very difficult for the waste management authorities to segregate the solid waste at their site, because the commingled waste is containing a lot of things which are not allowed to put into the compost setup. So the basic objectives of composting are to transform the biodegradable organic matter into biologically stable material, just like the colloidal material in the colloidal particles in the water treatment. These are also unstable materials because they are having the tendency to be composed at any stage of their life cycle. So these kind of waste materials are biodegradable materials, and when they are like decomposed, they are stable and there is nothing to be observed in terms of the biodegradation further. Original volume of the waste is required to reduce. That's why we also conduct the composting setup so that we can maximize the life of our landfill, and we can divert the waste from landfill to the compost plant so that the tonnage which is being sent to the compost plant would be allowing the landfill site to accommodate further waste. To destroy pathogens, insects, eggs, and other unwanted microorganisms, weeds, seeds that may be present in the waste. If we send this quantity to the landfill side, then obviously, if it is containing these kind of pathogenic microorganisms, those would also be added into the landfill sites setup, and then they would be contributing to the groundwater and surface water pollution along with the environmental pollution of in terms of soil and vegetation as well. So the presence of these pathogenic microorganisms can harm your natural setup and can create pollution, which has to be like avoided, and composting helps us to avoid those things in terms of the environmental pollution. To retain maximum nutrients, that is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium content, when we want to apply that organic, decomposed organic waste to the vegetation, then there must be a combination of NPK, which has to be observed and which has to be maintained. So in compost plant, we also maintain these things as well. And this how we maintain these things would be studied in later slides. To produce a product that can be used to support plant growth and soil condition. Obviously, along with these above objectives, there is another objective to produce a product which can be utilized as a soil conditioner, and it would be like helping to improve the fertility of soil. So what are the advantages of composting? After discussing the objectives, we would like to move to the advantages of composting. It obviously there are a lot of objectives which are ultimately converted into the advantages. For example, to kill pathogens and weed seeds, to produce uniform, relatively dry and product-free from objectionable objects in satisfactory manner. There are practically no chances for health hazards to occur. It is possible to eliminate certain plant diseases by scientifically using the compost. The addition of compost to soil improves considerably the physical properties of soil in terms of its texture and hydraulic conductivity. Anaerobic and aerobic stages complete the fermentation in a short time, and due to the sieving, compost of uniform nature is obtained. The compost also contains in small quantity elements like boron, calcium, cobalt, copper, iron, magnesium, manganese, molybdenum, sulfur, and zinc. These kind of elements may also be present in the compost product. The presence of all such elements accelerates the recovery of exhausted soil. Cost of compost is lower than that of the chemical fertilizer, so it can be used as an alternative and a green fertilizer or organic fertilizer to replace the chemical fertilizer, which is being utilized to maximize the yield from a certain patch of the land, but at the same time destroying its fertility for a long time. Problem of disposing huge amount of dry refuse may easily be solved. The space required for the plant to install is less as compared to other methods of garbage disposal. If we are like going to dispose it directly to the landfill site, it would be covering or accumulating more space as compared to the compost plant, because at the compost plant it is converted into some product and then it is removed from that plant, and it allows new batch to be placed over there, and it itself is converted into the compost like material. To stabilize putrescible organic matter, the organic matter having moisture content is quite a source of odor and anesthetic system in the town or at the disposal site. So it also is a source of removing the odor problem from your waste. Then there are various benefits in terms of its quality, its product quality, or the compost quality. It protects plants from drought. As compost has the ability to hold more moisture, humus, the end result of composting is so absorbent that it can almost hold water twice its weight. So it would be having the moisture content for a longer time as compared to the soil itself. And obviously, if it is having the moisture content or holding the moisture content for a very long time, then it would be protecting the plants from facing the drought conditions. Then improves soil aeration as well, as we have observed in first point that it is a humus-like material. So it would be having more pores in as compared to the soil. Without air, soil tends to become alkaline. Also, it loses the organic matter and nitrogen essential to productivity. Beneficial soil organisms will fail to thrive due to the lack of oxygen. So to remain those microorganisms, beneficial soil microorganism in the system, the compost application is very unique and very beneficial for protecting such microorganisms, as it offers more space and more pores for those microorganisms. Stop stops erosion. Compost can prevent erosion by improving soil structure. Soil containing a lot of humus holds together better because water permeates the soil. So it's another benefit of that product. Slowly releases the nutrients. Compost acts as a kind of nutrients storehouse, releasing nutrients gradually throughout the plant's growth season. Prevents disease. Compost has seemingly miraculous powers to prevent and control plant disease better than any chemical fungicide. Recycle waste. Composting is the only waste disposal conserving nutrients from the waste eventually return to the soil. So it's a recycling system which is recycling the organic waste into a new product. Reduction in the volume. Compost reduces the amount of waste to be disposed. Completely recovery of yard waste will reduce the amount of waste generated by an average of 12% while the addition of food waste will divert another 11.2%. So all of the composition, if mixed up, it entertains almost 22 to 23% of solid waste at US EPA. But in terms of developing countries, or particularly in terms of Pakistan, we do have a lot of organic waste in our solid waste, and it almost comprises of 60 to 70 or maybe 80% of the total waste. So there is a lot of potential of converting our waste into the compost and then utilizing it to the different purposes. Along with these benefits, we do have many other benefits which are like easy to implement and operate, handles a large volume of material, it is a low capital cost system, less equipment and maintenance needed, uses very few resources in terms of its operations. So all in a single line, I would like to clarify that we have discussed three things. First of all, the objectives of the composting, then the advantages of the composting process. These are the advantages of composting process. Then the benefits of the product which has been like produced through that composting process. So this is elaborating the benefits of compost, which is the product or recycled waste. So all these three things are somehow overlapping to each other, but the purpose of discussing all these things is quite different, and it was necessary to discuss it in this way because we have to move across a long preparation setup and procedure of composting. So you must be aware of its benefits, its advantages, its disadvantages, and the objectives of conducting this process. Moving on to the disadvantages of composting, obviously there might be few disadvantages as well, but those disadvantages can be overcome by outweighed by its advantages. And if we look at the disadvantages, these are like, for example, it requires a lot of land for composting. Yes, it requires a lot of land because it has to be put for almost 4 to 6 weeks, which is like 40 to 50 days. And if we are putting our waste for 40 to 50 days at a single place, then we obviously are receiving a lot of waste on daily basis. And if we have put a waste heap at a single place, it won't be removed for next 40 days. So it is accumulating more space as compared to the its other processes. But at the same time, we also know that this is for 40 days only. And if we send all these quantities to the landfill site, then it would be like accumulating that site for a very long time period, and the degradation which is occurring naturally over there is quite slow because we are not controlling their favorable conditions, and we are not having any control over the degradation process. You would be discussing a lot of parameters in terms of its control in this lecture. So it is very evident that it is very difficult to have decomposition at the landfill site on a faster pace as compared to the composting setup. It attracts scavengers. You have put a lot of waste at a single place for 40 days, and then the next batch will also be receiving the waste for next 40 days. It would be attracting many scavengers as well. For example, I want to show you this picture at the home of this lecture. For example, we have put this waste on day one, and then this waste on day 2, and this waste on day 3, this waste on day 4. So this has to be put over here for 40 days. So it would be attracting scavengers to segregate things from it and to recover the usable material or recyclable material from this waste heap. And then they would be moving to all the windrows. These are called as windrows. So they would be attending all these windrows and scattering the waste which has been placed by applying machinery or by manual settings. But at the same time, if the scavengers are attending this system, they would be like searching for their items from these heaps, and they won't be resetting this system. And even if they are converting or uh, having some interaction with this waste, that's also problematic for the composting process, and that would be affecting its process in terms of its inner temperature, in terms of its inner moisture content, in terms of its biodegradation timeline. So it would be a lot of like offering a lot of problem if a scavenger attends this windrow. So this is also a disadvantage because we are applying a lot of waste over here, and we cannot we cannot if we are not going to fence this compost plant, then there would be possibility of scavengers to attend this system. So this is kept under the disadvantage of compost system. Then often produces odors. Obviously, if you are going to put a lot of waste over there, then there is a natural process of decomposition, and if you are not turning that waste frequently, that would be having anaerobic conditions inside it, and whenever there are anaerobic conditions, it produces odors. Requires large buffer zones due to odor and vectors. May require a permit depending on the size. You might be required to have a license or permit from EPA or the environmental monitoring agencies for its conduct or its like installation. May require processing of rainwater runoff. Obviously, if you are going to put that waste in openly into the environment, then you must be providing some system in terms of the stormwater runoff collection or its management. Compost can become anaerobic in rainy conditions. If you add more moisture to the windrows, obviously that would be observing a lot of anaerobic conditions in it. If we look at the history of the composting, it is difficult to attribute the birth of composting to a specific individual or even one society. Our knowledge about the science of composting comes from research conducted during the past 50 years, relatively recent compared to the 2000 plus years that humans have been composting. There is evidence that Romans, Greeks, and the tribes of Israel knew about the compost as well. So moving on to the after the brief introduction of the composting process and the compost itself, we are like going to move to the major parameters in terms of the composting process. The foremost agents for the composting are the microorganisms, which are responsible for the biodegradation, and it is the ultimate thing which converts our waste into a new product which is called as compost. So we must study, or we must have an introduction regarding these agents or these bacteria or types or microorganisms or organism, whichever is responsible for its decomposition. There is a combination of different microorganisms which is responsible for converting the solid waste into the compost pile. Microorganisms such as bacteria, fungi, and actinomycetes account for most of the decomposition that takes place in a pile. So these are the major contributor in terms of the microorganisms which are responsible for the decomposition process. They are considered chemical decomposers because they change the chemistry of organic waste. So they would be like converting the waste to a smallest or the simplest form of the waste. The larger decomposers or macroorganisms in a compost pile include mites, centipedes, snowbugs, snails, millipedes, springtails, slugs, beetles, ants, flies, nematodes, flatworms, rotifiers, and earthworms. So these are called as the like physical decomposers because they grind, bite, suck, tear, and chew the material into smaller pieces. They break down the solid waste into the smaller pieces by changing its physical composition, and they just reduce its size. So these are called as the physical decomposers. But at the same time, when they complete their work, they hand over the waste to the bacteria, fungi, and actinomycetes, which are responsible for the decomposition, and they change the chemistry of this waste, and that's why these are called as the chemical decomposers. Aerobic composting is a type of composting which occurs while bacteria can eat a wide variety of organic compounds. They have difficulty escaping unfavorable environments due to their size and lack of complexity. Changes in oxygen, moisture, temperature, and acidity can make bacteria die or become inactive. So this statement is very important statement in terms of the compost production, because if you are having a business of composting plant, then and there are many people who are conducting this business in their towns, and they are like running it as a successful business. But at the same time, you must know that the oxygen level, moisture content, temperature profile, and the acidity level can make bacteria die or become inactive. So you have to maintain these ranges according to the need of the bacteria. And those are very optimum values, which normally we study in the literature. Aerobic bacteria need oxygen levels greater than 5%. So if we talk about the oxygen level, we must have the basic quantity of oxygen as more than 5%. They are they are the preferred organisms because they provide the most rapid and effective composting, the aerobic bacteria. They also excrete plant nutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and magnesium. Which oxygen levels fall when oxygen levels fall below 5%, the aerobes die and decomposition slows by as much as 80%. So if you are going to observe a drop down in your oxygen level, then there would be the composting process would be halted, and it would be like 90%, and above 90% it would be like stopped or halted. Then comes the techniques for effective aerobic composting. Techniques for effective aerobic composting include inoculation, supplemental nutrition, shredding, improved aeration, pile size and porosity of the material, ventilation, turning. Inoculation means when you put your waste into the designated places, and supplemental nutrition is the operational procedure which you apply on that heap of the waste to control the favorable conditions and to provide the favorable conditions for effective and rapid decomposition, which is a natural process, and you can obviously supply different nutrition to enhance the decomposition rate as well. If you are like operating at a very large scale and you are having a commercial setup for the compost production, then shredding, if you shred your waste yourself and don't let the physical decomposers to do it, which are like shredding it quite slowly. If you add a setup of shredding the material into smaller pieces, it would be like reducing the timeline of the compost production, which is again very beneficial for the business perspective. Improved aeration, and how can we improve the aeration? There are a few processes which can improve the aeration, like you can provide ventilation, you can turn it manually, and pile size and porosity of the material is like the basic definition or basic parameter which defines how much aeration is there and how much aeration is further required. Aerobic bacteria are the most important decomposers. They are very abundant. They are like they may be millions in a gram of soil or decaying organic matter. So you don't have to put or place the microorganisms by yourself into the solid waste heap. These are present in the waste naturally, and you have to just provide the other conditions to the favorable ranges, and these bacteria would be, when provided with the favorable conditions, these would be like acting on a very faster pace, and they would be like decomposing the solid waste in few days. You would need 25,000 of aerobic bacteria laid end to end to a ruler to make an inch. This is just to define their size. They are the most nutritionally diverse of all organisms and can eat nearly anything. Yes, they can eat nearly anything, but at the same time, we are limited to have this process, and we cannot afford to let them eating for 200 days or 500 days. We have to optimize this process. We have to reduce the timeline with the effective and the fine product. That is the main thing in the composting setup and in composting production systems. Whosoever is working in this field must know regarding the optimum levels of the aerobic bacteria functionality, so that he or she can reduce the timeline of compost production and can like add value to your businesses. There are various types of bacteria that work in composting piles. Their populations will vary according to the pile temperature. So here we have added another parameter. After the oxygen level, we have added temperature as another parameter. So we would be like segregating the types of microorganisms or aerobic bacteria according to the temperature profile, as we need them in terms of the temperature functionality. So we would be segregating the microorganisms in terms of their favorable optimum ranges of temperature. For example, initially we have saccharophilic bacteria. These work in the lowest temperature ranges. They are most active at 55 Fahrenheit and will work in the pile if the initial pile temperature is less than 70 Fahrenheit. They give off a small amount of heat in comparison to other types of bacteria, as these are working at the initial stages when the waste has been like introduced to the pile or to the windrow, they start working to raise the temperature of that pile. And these are as saccharophilic bacteria. They have a range of 55 to 70 Fahrenheit. As we approach to the 70 Fahrenheit mark, the nature and the population of these bacteria is converted to another bacteria which is called as mesophilic bacteria, and they start to take over the system. Now, mesophilic bacteria work rapidly, and they rapidly decompose organic matter, producing acids. And now, here we are observing some chemical changes and some breakdown in the waste as well. This is the second stage, and initially we had the microorganisms which were responsible for its like acclimatization or the adjustment in the environment, and the basic temperature profile was raised by these bacteria, and then the system was handed over to the mesophilic bacteria, and mesophilic bacteria rapidly decompose the organic matter, producing acids, carbon dioxide, and heat. Their working temperature range is generally between 70 to 100 Fahrenheit. When the pile temperature rises above 100 Fahrenheit, the mesophilic bacteria begin to die off or move to the upper part of the solid waste heap. They are replaced by heat-loving thermophilic bacteria, and this is the third type of bacteria which is segregated or which is termed in terms of the temperature. So initially we had mesophilic saccharophilic bacteria which were like 55 to 70 Fahrenheit range bacteria. Then we have 70 to 100 Fahrenheit range bacteria. Then above 100 to almost 160 Fahrenheit, we observe thermophilic bacteria. And these thermophilic bacteria are like they thrive at temperatures ranging from 113 to 160 Fahrenheit. They continue to decomposition process, raising the pile temperature from 130 to 160 Fahrenheit, where it usually stabilizes. When it reaches to the 160 Fahrenheit, obviously, after that it stabilizes and starts cool down. Unless a pile is constantly fed new materials and turned at strategic times, the high range temperatures typically last no more than 3 to 5 days. If you are not adding the fresh waste at that heap, then it would be like the thermophilic bacteria's activity would be lasting for 3 to 5 days only, and this activity is also responsible for killing the pathogenic bacteria. जो हमने कहा था कि इसका एक benefit ये भी है कि ये जो disease causing, pathogenic means disease causing, जो disease causing माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स या बैक्टीरिया हैं उनको किल ऑफ कर देता है ये सिस्टम जो कंपोस्ट का सिस्टम है. तो अब ये नेचुरल सारी जब चल रही होती है, सारी नेचुरल आपका सारा सेटअप चल रहा होता है डिकम्पोजिशन का, तो at the same time you observe the removal of pathogenic microorganisms as well. For example, they use up too much of the degradable materials to sustain their population for any length of time. As the thermophilic bacteria decline and the temperature of the pile gradually cools off, the mesophilic bacteria again become dominant. The mesophilic bacteria consume remaining organic material with the help of other organisms. The drop in compost pile temperature, the further drop in compost pile temperature is not a sign that composting is complete, but rather an indication that the compost pile is entering another phase of the composting process. तो जैसे ही हमारी कंपोस्ट पाइल का टेम्परेचर 160 डिग्री से ड्रॉप करता है, दैट डजंट मीन कि अब हमारी कंपोस्ट प्रोसेस हमारा कंप्लीट हो चुका है. रादर इट मीन्स कि इट इज एंटरिंग इनटू द न्यू फेज और न्यू प्रोसेस सिस्टम, and you have to wait for that phase completion as well. While high temperature, which is almost above 140 Fahrenheit, have the advantage of killing pathogenic organisms and weed seeds, it is unnecessary to achieve those temperatures unless there is a specific concern about killing disease organisms and seeds. You can greatly reduce the possibility of pathogens in a pile by excluding pet waste, diseased plants, and manure from diseased animals. Many decomposers are killed or become inactive when pile temperatures rise above 140 Fahrenheit. If the pile temperature exceeds 160 Fahrenheit, you may want to take action and cool the pile by turning it. तो अब ये आपके पास एक आ जाती है ऑप्शन आ जाती है कि इफ़ यू वांट टू ड्रॉप द टेम्परेचर एंड यू हैव ensured that the sufficient killing of the microorganisms which are disease causing microorganism has occurred, then you can turn over the waste heap so that the temperature may reduce. Other organisms in the compost plant include while the various types of bacteria are at work, other microorganisms are also contributing to the degradation process. For example, actinomycetes, a higher form bacteria similar to fungi and molds, are responsible for the pleasantly earthy smell of compost. So this is the basic function of actinomycetes, that they introduce the pleasant earthy smell in the compost product. Like bacteria and actinomycetes, fungi are also responsible for organic matter decay in a compost pile. They are responsible for decomposition. Fungi are primitive plants that can be either single-celled or many-celled and filamentous. They lack a photosynthetic pigment. Their main contribution to a compost pile is to break down cellulose and lignin, which is like not breakable by the bacteria. After faster acting bacteria make inroads on them. They prefer cooler temperatures of almost mesophilic range and easily digested food sources. As a result, they also tend to take over during the final stage of the composting. When the temperature starts cooling down, fungi may also take over at that stage when the temperature is around at a transition stage from saccharophilic to the mesophilic stage. Then comes the macroorganisms. These are the larger microorganisms. As mentioned earlier, larger organisms are involved in physically transforming organic material into the compost. They are active during the later stages of composting, digging, chewing, digesting, and mixing compostable materials. In addition to mixing materials, they break down it into the smaller pieces and transform it into the more digestible forms for microorganisms. Their excrement is also digested by bacteria, causing more nutrients to be released in the compost pile. These are few pictures of the macroorganisms. So before moving to the next topic, I would like to rephrase or recall this topic as well. Here we had types of bacteria. We had discussed that there are like yes, there are like chemical decomposers which are called as microorganisms. Then we have macroorganisms which are called as physical decomposers. So initially we went to discuss the microorganisms, and then we moved on to the macroorganisms. I am going to recall these both of these categories. For example, here we had aerobic composting, and we discussed all the things regarding the microorganisms favorable conditions. These are also the major description of microorganisms. And here we had discussion regarding the macroorganisms. as these are simply reducing or shredding the waste, to reduce its size and changing its nature on physical basis. So it doesn't involve many processes as our microorganisms involve, and they convert the smaller pieces into the simpler elements or the compounds. After discussing the basic microorganisms and macroorganisms types, now we are going to move towards various factors which are very important factors for the conduct of compost system. And at a compost plant, we need to maintain and optimize all these factors in true spirit so that we can obtain the compost product in a given time frame as a finished product, as well as the desired product must be pathogen free, as well as it must represent the best compost product. Rather, it is like half-heartedly converted or decomposed material. The first and foremost thing is the food factor. If you are not going to provide food to the microorganism, they won't be like able to survive themselves. And where from the food will be provided to the microorganism? The food is the solid waste. So there is no problem at all that we are our basic purpose is to reduce or remove or divert or like convert or recycle our solid waste. If it is being considered food by the microorganism, we don't have a problem. अगर वो इसको एज ए फूड लेके डिकम्पोज करते हैं तो हमें इशू नहीं है, हमें सिर्फ और सिर्फ इसकी डिकम्पोजिशन चाहिए. तो एक चीज़ इसमें इम्पॉर्टेंट है कि इफ़ यू हैव if you have built up a setup regarding the organic compost, then you must add the organic food into the system rather than in adding inorganic compositions as well. Organic material provides food for organisms in the form of carbon and nitrogen. So we have to maintain the C/N ratio as well. Bacteria use carbon for energy and protein to grow and reproduce. Carbon and nitrogen levels vary with each organic material. Carbon-rich materials tend to be dry and brown, such as leaves, straw, and wood chips. Nitrogen materials tend to be wet and green, such as fresh grass clippings and food waste. So this is the indication of determining the property of the waste, if it is having the carbon-rich materials in it or nitrogen-rich materials in it. So if the waste is brown-like material, then it would be having more carbon in it, and if it is green or the fresh grass clippings type waste or the food waste, then it would be offering more nitrogen content. This helps in maintaining the carbon to nitrogen ratio as well. Otherwise, if when we handle a lot of quantities in terms of the thousands of tons for the compost setup, it is very difficult to maintain the carbon to nitrogen ratio on exact basis. But after studying this topic, you would be able to identify and easily manage the carbon to nitrogen ratio without any issue. A tip for estimating an organic material's carbon to nitrogen content is to remember the fresh, juicy materials are usually higher in nitrogen and will decompose more quickly than older, drier, and woodier tissues that are high in carbon. So this is the tip for identifying the carbon to nitrogen ratio and the basic degradation pattern. A carbon to nitrogen ratio ranging between 25 to 1 and 30 to 1 is the optimum combination for rapid decomposition. If ratio is more than 30 to 1 carbon, heat production drops and decomposition slows down. Too much nitrogen can also cause a rise in the pH levels, which is toxic to some microorganisms. The carbon to nitrogen ratio does not need to be exact. It is difficult to determine an exact carbon to nitrogen ratio without knowing the moisture content of the materials which are being used. So we must know what type of materials are being added into the compost setup. For example, we in second chapter we had discussed the energy content as well as the chemical composition of the solid waste along with the physical composition of solid waste. If we look at the physical composition of the solid waste, for example, we have a lot of materials in this list. We can identify that these type of materials are present in our waste and these type of materials are not present in our waste. Then we can go to their literature review and the already identified carbon to nitrogen ratio as well. This will help us to have more detailed analysis in terms of carbon to nitrogen ratio. For example, we have fruit waste. We do have fruit waste in our system. Okay, grass clippings. Yes, we do have. So adding these two physical composition in the compost will like be resulting in terms of 25 to 30 ratio 1, which is the required ratio of carbon to nitrogen in terms of compost production. Similarly, we have leaves, ash, black, elder, and elm leaves, pine leaves, other manure, horse and cow, paper, sawdust, seaweed, straw, vegetable waste, weeds, wood chips. So these are like these all are showing the carbon to nitrogen ratio of different materials, and if you observe that your waste is having much more nitrogen content, you can add wood chips which are having the maximum carbon to nitrogen ratio value 500 to 700 carbon content. You can add wood chips into the waste system which are into the compost heap which is having more nitrogen content or green waste. So it would be balancing their values in terms of carbon to नाइट्रोजन रेशियो. और अगर आप इनको एडजस्ट करेंगे इस तरह से, आपको पता होगा कि हमारे आप जब ये प्लान करते हैं तो ऑब्वियसली उससे पहले आप वेस्ट जनरेशन जो हमने ऊपर फंक्शनल एलिमेंट पढ़ा है उसको और उसकी फिजिकल कंपोजिशन, केमिकल कंपोजिशन और ये सारी चीज़ें आप डिस्कस करने के बाद ही प्लांट को इंस्टॉल करते हैं. तो जब आपको पता है कि आपके पास वेस्ट की फिजिकल कंपोजिशन या नेचर कैसी है जो जनरेट हो के फील्ड से आ रहा है, तो फिर आप उसके हिसाब से देख लेते हैं कि इसमें इस टाइप का वेस्ट अगर इतना डालेंगे हम तो उससे इतनी कार्बन इतनी नाइट्रोजन इसमें ऐड अप हो जाएगी और इस कार्बन नाइट्रोजन से हमारी टोटल वैल्यू इतनी हो जाएगी. So this is very simple and easy to operate in terms of carbon to nitrogen ratio maintenance. Then we have aeration. Proper aeration is a key environmental factor. Many microorganisms, including aerobic bacteria, need oxygen levels. They need oxygen to produce energy, grow quickly, and consume more materials. So all these activities require oxygen. Aeration involves the replacement of oxygen deficient air in a compost pile with fresh air containing oxygen. Natural aeration occurs when air warmed by the composting process rises through the pile, bringing in fresh air from the surroundings. तो जो सिस्टम है आपका, जो पाइल है, जो विंडरो है, जो कंपोस्ट पाइल है, उसमें क्या होता है, उसमें ये होता है कि जो इनसाइड टेम्परेचर अगर राइज हो जाता है तो उसमें आपकी जो हॉट एयर है वो राइज करती है टॉप की तरफ और इन्वायरमेंट में रिलीज कर दी जाती है, जबकि फ्रेश कूलर एयर जो है वो सिस्टम के अंदर चली जाती है। तो इस वजह से उसका उसकी एरेशन एंड टेम्परेचर जो है वो उसको मेंटेन रखा जाता है। Aeration can also be affected by wind, moisture content, and porosity. Composting reduces the pile's porosity and decreases air circulation. पाइल पोरोसिटी कंपोस्टिंग कैसे रिड्यूस करती है? देखें, जब आप वेस्ट को वहाँ पे प्लेस करते हैं तो दी वेस्ट मटेरियल्स आर like very large particles or very large components or very large materials. तो जितना ज़्यादा मटेरियल या साइज लार्ज होगा इतनी ज़्यादा पोरोसिटी ज़्यादा होगी। जैसे जैसे ब्रेक डाउन होता जाएगा, जैसे जैसे उसका साइज स्मॉलर होता जाएगा, इट वुड बी ऑफरिंग लेस पोरोसिटी विद मैक्सिमम नंबर ऑफ पार्टिकल्स। ठीक है, तो उसके साइज कम होने की वजह से उसकी पोरोसिटी जो है वो कम होती जाएगी। And it can be negatively affected if large quantities of finely sized materials such as pine needles, grass clippings, or sawdust are used. In addition, air circulation can be impeded if materials become water saturated. वो कहते हैं अगर आप इसको नेगेटिवली अफेक्टेड भी देखना चाहते हैं तो आप कुछ ऐसे मटेरियल्स ऐड करते हैं जिनका साइज ऑलरेडी स्मॉलर होता है। अगर स्मॉलर नहीं होता तो इस टाइप का होता है, जैसे यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है फाइनली साइज मटेरियल्स सच एज पाइन नीडल्स, ग्रास क्लिपिंग्स। तो ये चीज़ें ऐसी होती हैं जो अगर किसी जगह पे आप रखते हैं या इंट्रोड्यूस करवाते हैं तो ऑब्वियसली वहाँ पे पोरोसिटी लेवल कम होता है एज कम्पेयर टू दी अदर जनरल वेस्ट। Similarly, it is also evident that the addition of the moisture content or the water content also hinders the air factor and also reduces the aeration into the waste heap. तो जब हम मॉइस्चर की बात कर रहे हैं तो उसका हम मॉइस्चर कंटेंट कितना होना चाहिए उस हिसाब से भी हम देख लेते हैं। Decomposers organisms need water to live along with the food which is as waste. Microbial activity occurs most rapidly in thin water film on the surface of organic material. Microorganisms can only utilize organic molecules that are dissolved in the water. ठीक है, अब माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म पहली बात तो ये है कि मॉइस्चर कंटेंट की प्रेजेंस में ही काम करेंगे फास्टर रेट पे, और दूसरे नंबर पे ये हो गया कि अगर वो उसकी प्रेजेंस में काम कर रहे हैं तो वो थोड़ा सा इजी हो जाता है उनके लिए कि अगर जो डिज़ोल्व्ड होते हैं उसमें ऑर्गेनिक मॉलिक्यूल्स डिज़ोल्व्ड होते हैं वाटर में या मॉइस्चर कंटेंट में, उनको कंज्यूम करना डिज़ोल्व्ड फॉर्म में बेसिकली फूड जो है वो उनके लिए इजी है, बिकॉज माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स आर द लोअर ग्रेड माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स और ऑर्गेनिजम्स, so they cannot afford the large particles or large material as their food source. They would be like preferring the smaller or preferably dissolvable type of materials as food. तो अगर आपके पास वाटर या मॉइस्चर कंटेंट है उसमें आप जो ऐड करते हैं खुद से आपको ऐड करना पड़ जाता है इंटर समटाइम्स, तो उसके बाद फिर आप वो ऑब्ज़र्व करते हैं कि जो मॉइस्चर कंटेंट है उसके अंदर जितने भी ऑर्गेनिक मटेरियल डिज़ोल्व्ड है, दैट इज़ मच मोर ईजियर टू डिकम्पोज एज कम्पेयर टू दी अनडिज़ोल्व्ड ऑर्गेनिक मटेरियल. The optimum moisture content is 40 to 60% in a pile of the compost. If there is less than 40% तो क्या होगा? If there is more than 60% तो क्या होगा? If there is less than 40% moisture, bacteria slows down the activity and may become dormant. ठीक है, उसको sufficient water quantity नहीं मिल रही तो वो स्लो डाउन कर देगा आपकी या डॉर्मेंट कंडीशन में चला जाएगा. if depending upon the lowerness of the moisture content. If there is more than 60%, water will force air out of the pile pore spaces, suffocating the aerobic bacteria. अब aerobic bacteria जब आप कहते हैं तो उनको air चाहिए. आपने more than 60 to 7 फॉर एग्जाम्पल 70 to 80% आपने उसमें जो है मॉइस्चर कंटेंट ऐड कर दिया. अब 80% मॉइस्चर कंटेंट है तो उससे क्या होगा? उससे ये होगा कि आपकी जो पोर्स हैं उनमें जहाँ पे ऑक्सीजन प्रेजेंट थी वहाँ पे वाटर ने एडजस्ट कर लिया अपने आप को. अब वाटर ने जब अपने आप को एडजस्ट कर लिया तो इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि वहाँ से ऑक्सीजन को इसने रिमूव कर दिया. जब ऑक्सीजन को रिमूव किया तो ऑक्सीजन की प्रेजेंस में जो एरोबिक बैक्टीरिया हैं उनको सफोकेशन स्टार्ट हो जाएगी. That's why they are like the additional moisture content is not desired or recommended in the compost pile, and we are okay with the 40 to 60% range of the moisture content profile. Anaerobic bacteria will take over resulting in unpleasant odor. तो जब अगर moisture content ज़्यादा होने की वजह से anaerobic bacteria आ जाएंगे तो फिर odor का issue भी आना शुरू हो जाएगा. If a pile is saturated with water, turn it so that materials are restacked. It may also help to add dry carbon-rich material. तो अगर इनके आप कहते हैं कि नहीं हमने तो ऐसा नहीं किया लेकिन बारिश हो गई थी या कोई फ्लड आ गया या कुछ इस तरह का सिलसिला हो गया जिसकी वजह से आपके मॉइस्चर कंटेंट बढ़ गया है, तो फिर there are chances or there are techniques to remove or reduce the moisture content in that pile as well. For example, आप उसको टर्न ओवर करते रहते हैं frequently ताकि उसके अंदर अच्छी तरह से मिक्स हो जाए वो सारे का सारा वाटर. या अगर आप टर्न ओवर नहीं कर सकते तो आप उसमें ड्राई कार्बन रिच मटेरियल ऐड कर देते हैं so that it can utilize that water content or the moisture content for its biodegradation. टेम्परेचर फैक्टर आपके साथ पहले डिस्कस किया है, लेकिन पहले जो डिस्कस किया है हमने दैट वाज जस्ट इन टर्म्स ऑफ द लोअर टेम्परेचर रेंज, मीडियम टेम्परेचर रेंज एंड हायर टेम्परेचर रेंज, साइक्रोफिलिक, मेसोफिलिक एंड थर्मोफिलिक. But here we would be discussing the temperature profile in another way. For example, temperature is another important factor in the composting process and is related to proper air and moisture levels. As the microorganisms work to decompose the compost, they give off heat which in turn increases pile temperatures. अब ये तो हमें पता है कि उसकी एक्टिविटी जो होती है माइक्रो की जो एक्टिविटी है उससे क्या होता है कि वो हीट प्रोड्यूस करते हैं बिकॉज दे आर डिकम्पोजिंग द वेस्ट और डिकम्पोजिशन प्रोसेस जहाँ पे होता है तो वहाँ पे हीट प्रोड्यूस होती है. टेम्परेचर बिटवीन 90 to 140 Fahrenheit indicate rapid decomposition. Lower temperature signal a slowing in the composting process. High temperatures greater than 140 reduce the activity of most organisms. This is the graph which is showing two different behavior of the temperature profile. जो आपके पास डॉटेड लाइन में आपको शो हो रही है टेम्परेचर प्रोफाइल, इट इज़ अ कंपोस्ट हीप विच इज़ टर्न्ड मैकेनिकली, और जो आपको सॉलिड लाइन नज़र आ रही है ये इट इज़ टर्न्ड मैनुअली. ठीक है, तो अब ये आपने जब मैनुअली आपने कहा कि एरेशन सिस्टम हमने इसको दे दिया खुद से, कोई ब्लोअर लगा दिए हैं, कोई उसमें पंप्स लगा दिए हैं जो उसमें एरेशन प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं, तो उसकी जो प्रोफाइल है वो ये सॉलिड लाइन होगी और उसमें वेरिएशन आएगी. लेकिन जब मैकेनिकली टर्न करते जाएंगे आप और उसमें एरेशन प्रोवाइड करेंगे तो दैट वुड बी हैविंग मच मोर स्मूथ कर्व एज कम्पेयर टू द प्रीवियस वन. अच्छा, अब एक चीज़ इसमें देखें कि आपके एक्स एक्सिस और वाई एक्सिस पे क्या क्या है. यहाँ पे आपके पास टेम्परेचर है विच इज़ इन टर्म्स ऑफ सेल्सियस डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड्स, एंड यहाँ पे आपके पास नंबर ऑफ डेज हैं फॉर द प्लेसमेंट ऑफ सॉलिड वेस्ट एज ए हीप ऑफ कंपोस्ट प्रोडक्शन प्लांट. तो डे 1 से आप ऑप्टिमम टेम्परेचर से स्टार्ट करते हैं और बाय द एंड ऑफ द 5th डे, जो पहले 4-5 दिन है उसमें आप अपने माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म जो हैं उनको थर्मोफिलिक रेंज में चले जाते हैं. जब आप इसके बाद इसको ऑब्ज़र्व करते हैं कि ये ऑलमोस्ट 20 डेज़ तक जो है वो ये 15 डेज़ तक यही कंडीशन रहती हैं एंड टोटल जो है आपको 20 डेज़ गुजर जाते हैं और उसके बाद टेम्परेचर जो है वो ड्रॉप डाउन होना शुरू हो जाता है और जब वो नॉर्मल ऑप्टिमम लेवल पे आ जाता है तो then you consider that the product has been like finished and it is prepared successfully। और अब आपने इसको आगे क्या करना है उसको उस हिसाब से देखते हैं। आप उसको प्रॉपर बिजनेस के तौर पे चलाना चाह रहे हैं या आप उसको एज ए वॉलंटियर टास्क आपने ये लिया हुआ है, तो वो डिपेंड करता है। अगर आप एज ए बिजनेस कर रहे हैं तो फिर आप प्लांट में आगे फर्दर एडिशंस करते हैं, कुछ थोड़ी बहुत अमेंडमेंट्स उसमें करने के बाद, एडिटिव्स ऐड करने के बाद आप उसको पैकेजिंग की तरफ ले जाते हैं। पैकेजिंग के बाद फिर आप उसको मार्केट में सेल के लिए इंट्रोड्यूस करवा देते हैं। और अगर ऐसा नहीं है तो फिर आप वैसे ही जो है वो रियम भर भर के तो आप अपने डिफरेंट डिपार्टमेंट्स एंड डिफरेंट जो कस्टमर्स हैं उनको देते जाते हैं एंड ऑब्वियसली देन द रेट ऑफ दैट कंपोस्ट आल्सो रिड्यूसेस। ये भी टेम्परेचर प्रोफाइल है बट द डिस्क्रिप्शन एट द बॉटम इज क्वाइट इंटरेस्टिंग। फॉर एग्जांपल आपके पास सॉलिड लाइन जो है दैट इज शोइंग द टेम्परेचर। देन आपके पास ब्रोकन लाइन है विच इज शोइंग द मेसोफिलिक फंजाई पॉपुलेशन। डॉटेड लाइन जो है दैट इज शोइंग द थर्मोफिलिक फंजाई पॉपुलेशन। लेफ्ट वाई एक्सिस पे आपके पास फंगल पॉपुलेशन है और राइट वाई एक्सिस पे आपके पास टेम्परेचर इन सेंटर्स ऑफ कंपोस्ट है। और ए बी एंड सी आर द हीटिंग फेज ऑफ योर कंपोस्ट पाइप। ठीक है, अब इस सारे ग्राफ को समझने के लिए मैं अगर आपको थोड़ा सा ये सारा इलेबोरेट कर दूं, इट इज़ वेरी इजी। लाइक यहाँ पे आपके पास उसकी माइक्रोबियल ग्रोथ आ रही है कि यहाँ पे कितने लॉग जो है आपके पास वो जो है माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म जो है वो प्रोड्यूस हो रहे हैं इन टर्म्स ऑफ फंजाई। इधर आपका टेम्परेचर कितना राइज कर रहा है ओवर द टाइम, ये आपके पास टाइम लाइन है नीचे। और इस टाइम लाइन को डिवाइड किया गया है इनटू डिफरेंट हीटिंग फेजेस। फॉर एग्जांपल पहले 5 दिनों में क्या होता है, फिर दूसरे 5 दिनों में क्या होता है, अगले 10 दिनों में क्या होता है, अगले 20 दिनों में क्या होता है और आखिरी 10 दिनों में क्या होता है। तो दीज आर लाइक डिवाइडेड इनटू डिफरेंट फेजेस। तो इससे आप आइडिया लगा सकते हैं कि इनिशियली अगर आपकी जो ग्रोथ थी वो अगर थोड़ी सी इंक्रीज हुई है तो उसके बाद जैसे ही टेम्परेचर बढ़ा है, टेम्परेचर कम था, ठीक है, ये जो आपकी जो आप कह लें कि जो सॉलिड लाइन है इट इज़ शोइंग द टेम्परेचर। तो जैसे ही टेम्परेचर आपका यहाँ पे कम हुआ, हमने पढ़ा था ना कि फंजाई जो है वो लोअर टेम्परेचर पे काम करते हैं, तो जैसे ही टेम्परेचर कम हुआ है इनकी प्रोडक्शन जो है वो कम हो गई है, ज़्यादा हो गई है। यहाँ पे भी आप देखें टेम्परेचर एंड पे ड्रॉप डाउन होता है तो इनकी प्रोडक्शन ज़्यादा हो जाती है। जब टेम्परेचर मैक्सिमम है इस रेंज में, ये वाली रेंज जो है आपकी फेज़ बी से सी, सी से ऑलमोस्ट हाफ ऑफ द डी, तो उसमें ये टोटली ख़त्म हो गया था। ठीक है, इनकी प्रोडक्शन ही नहीं थी। फिर यहाँ से 20 दिन के बाद ये शुरू हुए। ठीक है, जबकि टेम्परेचर जो है उसकी उसकी एक दिन से स्टार्ट हुई है अगर प्रोफाइल, तो वो ऐसे ही जा रहा है, ऑप्टिमम से स्टार्ट हुआ, ऑप्टिमम पे जाके एंड हो गया, बीच में उसने 60 को 70 को टच किया। ठीक है, इसी तरह से अगर आप उसकी थर्मोफिलिक फंजाई पॉपुलेशन को देखें, डॉटेड लाइन को, तो वो भी आपको ये यहाँ पे उसने शो किया होगा कि जैसे ही थर्मोफिलिक रीजन में आप आते हैं तो वहाँ पे वो मैक्सिमम जो ये कंटेंट है ये ग्रो करता है। देन कम्स द सिक्स्थ parameter, which is the pH value of the compost heap or compost windrow. Although the natural buffering effect of the composting process lends itself to accept material with a wide range of pH, the pH level should not exceed 8। ये आपकी कंपोस्ट प्लांट की pH मैक्सिमम होनी चाहिए। अगर आप इसको चेंज करते हैं तो क्या होगा? For example, at higher pH levels, more ammonia gas is generated and may be lost to the atmosphere। तो ये कोई अच्छी चीज़ नहीं है कि आप अमोनिया प्रोड्यूस करके तो एनवायरनमेंट में पोल्यूशन ऐड कर रहे हैं। Particle size is another parameter which is which has to be incorporated while producing the compost. Particle size affects the rate of organic matter breakdown. जितना ज़्यादा वो साइज उसका छोटा होगा उतना उसके ऊपर माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स की अटैचमेंट या इन्वॉल्वमेंट ज़्यादा होगी एंड दैट वुड बी लाइक decomposition would be happening at a faster rate as compared to the previous setup. The more surface area available, the easier it is for the microorganisms to work because activity occurs at the interface of particle, surface and air. Microorganisms are able to digest more, generate more heat and multiply faster with smaller pieces of material. Although it is not required, reducing materials into the smaller pieces will definitely speed decomposition. Organic materials can be chopped, shredded, split, bruised, or punctured to increase their surface area. तो जितना ज़्यादा पार्टिकल साइज कम होगा इतनी ज़्यादा माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स को उसके ऊपर अटैच होने और उसको डिकम्पोज करने के लिए चांसेस ज़्यादा मिलेंगे. Then comes the volume factor. Volume is a factor in retaining compost pile heat. जितना ज़्यादा आप वॉल्यूम को बढ़ाते जाएंगे तो उसके ऊपर जो उसके अंदर पेनिट्रेशन है एयर की वो कम होती जाएगी उसकी इनर साइड पे, और जब वो कम होगी तो इनर साइड में जो माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स डिकम्पोजिशन कर रहे हैं उनकी वजह से जो हीट जनरेट हो रही है उसकी वजह से इनसाइड टेम्परेचर बहुत ज़्यादा राइज कर जाएगा. तो फिर आपको फ्रीक्वेंट टर्निंग करनी पड़ती है जब आप वॉल्यूम ज़्यादा बना देते हैं किसी भी विंडो का. तो इसलिए ये चीज़ जहन में रखनी है कि जो वॉल्यूम है एक विंडो का वो भी मैटर करता है कि वो कितना होना चाहिए. In order to become self-insulating and retain heat, piles made in these should ideally be about 1 cubic yard. One cubic yard size retains heat and moisture effectively. फिर आता है आपके कॉमनली कौन कौन से मटेरियल्स आपने ऐड करने अपने कंपोस्ट हीप में. It may not be easy to determine if materials are higher in carbon or nitrogen. The presence of a carbon, nitrogen or oxygen in the carbon to nitrogen column indicates whether a material's effect on compost would be carbonaceous, nitrogenaceous or other. Materials designated as others do not affect the carbon to nitrogen ratio. वो कहते हैं कि इस टेबल में आपको दिखाया गया कि कौन कौन से मटेरियल्स की नेचर जो है वो कार्बोनेशियस है या नाइट्रोजनेशियस है या फिर अदर कैटेगरी है. तो इसमें अदर कैटेगरी तो कोई भी नहीं है, या एक है यहाँ पे ये एग शेल्स जो है, इनके अलावा सब या तो कार्बोनेशियस हैं या नाइट्रोजनेशियस हैं. तो अब आप देख लें कि आपकी किस तरह से हर्बीवोरस हैं, कार्बन एंड नाइट्रोजन उनकी करेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं. ब्लड मील है, बोन मील है, इसमें नाइट्रोजन ज़्यादा होती है. आप सुना होगा कि अनार के पौधे को ब्लड दें तो ज़्यादा वो ग्रो करेगा जल्दी. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि वो ब्लड ले के तो उसका फ्रूट जो है वो अपीयर होना शुरू होगा या वो ग्रो करेगा फास्ट पेस पे, बल्कि उसमें नाइट्रोजन कंटेंट होता है. दैट्स व्हाई वी ऐड द ब्लड और सच कंटेंट टू द सच प्लांट्स. फिर आप ये देख सकते हैं डिफरेंट मटेरियल्स का किस तरह से बिहेवियर है इन टर्म्स ऑफ द कार्बन एंड नाइट्रोजन प्रेजेंस. फिर ये मटेरियल्स हैं कि कौन से आप उसमें ऐड कर सकते हैं, कौन से मटेरियल्स आप ऐड नहीं कर सकते एक्सेसिव अमाउंट में. जैसे यहाँ पे आपके पास ये सारे ऑर्गेनिक मटेरियल्स जो ज़्यादातर हैं उनको आप ऐड कर सकते हैं. यहाँ पे इनऑर्गेनिक मटेरियल हैं या बहुत ज़्यादा उनकी वजह से पीएच या कार्बन बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ सकती है, तो इस वजह से आप उनको एक्सेसिव क्वांटिटी में ऐड नहीं करते. दिस इज़ जनरल like this is very generic picture. We are not limited to these elements only. फिर यहाँ पे कुछ मटेरियल्स दिए हुए हैं और फिर उनका रोल दिया हुआ है कि कंपोस्ट में उनका क्या रोल होता है, किस तरह से वो जो है वो इसकी केमिस्ट्री को चेंज करते हैं। ये मैं आपके साथ शेयर कर लूँगा, आप इसको एक बार गो थ्रू कर लीजिएगा, बट इट इज़ जस्ट फॉर द नॉलेज, नॉट इन टर्म्स ऑफ एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू। तो इसका रट्टा नहीं लगाना, बस आपने इसको ये समझना कि अगर डिजीज प्लांट्स अगर हम इसमें ऐड कर देते हैं तो क्या होगा। डिजीजेज में बी हार्ड टू एलिमिनेट sun bake plants in plastic bag until thoroughly dried, or leave in hot pile at least 1 week, or burn and put ashes in the compost pile, और omit from the pile, उसमें ऐड ही ना करें आप इसको। तो ये बेसिक मतलब ये चीज़ें हैं कि कौन कौन सी चीज़ अगर आ जाए हमारे सामने तो हमें क्या करना चाहिए। ये सारे मटेरियल्स हैं और उनके आगे रिस्पॉन्सेज हैं। ये मटेरियल्स आपको किसी भी कंपोस्ट पाइल में ऐड नहीं करने चाहिए, क्योंकि इनके जो आगे फर्दर कमेंट्स लिखे हुए हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल बोन्स हैं तो इनकी डिकम्पोजिशन स्लो है, कैट लिटर है तो कंटेन पैथोजेंस, ये आपने इसको देखना है, ये इससे हट के, ये कमेंट्स वाले से हट के। चारकोल एंड ब्रिकेटिस हैं तो इनको आप टॉक्सिक टू द सॉइल एंड प्लांट्स हो सकते हैं अगर उसमें रह जाते हैं। कुक्ड फूड वेस्ट है तो उसमें फैट्स हो सकती हैं। डेयरी प्रोडक्ट्स में स्मेल जो है उसका इशू अकर कर सकता है। डिश वॉशर में ग्रीस, इसी तरह से आपके पास फिश स्क्रैप है, मीट है, पेपर एंड ग्लॉसी कलर्ड है, पीनट बटर है, पेट वेस्ट है, ह्यूमन एक्सक्रीमेंट है, स्लज बायोसॉलिड्स हैं। इन सब को जो है वो आपने कंपोस्ट पाइल में ऐड नहीं करना, बल्कि ये डिस्पोजल साइट की तरफ भेज देंगे। This table shows the quantity of a type of like material which has to be added in terms of getting the desired percentages of nitrogen. अगर आपके पास अमोनियम नाइट्रेट है तो आप अगर उसके 7 ounces अप्लाई करते हैं तो 33% उसमें नाइट्रोजन आ जाएगी आपके सिस्टम में, ठीक है। अगर आपके पास यूरिया है तो उसका आप 5.2 ounces अप्लाई करेंगे तो 46 आ जाएगी परसेंटेज। तो ये आपके पास बेसिकली लिटरेचर है जिसमें आपको अगर बताया जाता है, कोई न्यूमेरिकल आ जाता है, कोई कैलकुलेशन आ जाती है और उसमें आपको इनकी परसेंटेज कैलकुलेट करनी पड़ जाती है, तो आपको पता हो कि कितना इसका वजन ऐड करें तो फिर हमें इतनी परसेंटेज जो है वो ऑब्टेन होगी। ये ड्राइड ब्लड देखें यहाँ पे, इसमें 20 ounces अप्लाई करें तो 12% नाइट्रोजन होती है इसमें। यस, these are the commercial or the large scale compost plant designing processes. इनको हम नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में डिस्कस करेंगे, क्योंकि ये इसमें कुछ थोड़ी सी हमारे इसमें न्यूमेरिकल्स इन्वॉल्व हैं, और उसके बाद फिर एडवांस कंपोस्टिंग की तरफ हम जाएंगे, विच इज़ द थर्ड पोर्शन ऑफ दिस लेक्चर। तो until that we have to stick to the basic introduction of the compost plant and the related I'm going to recall the entire lecture, related category under which it falls, then the definition along with the objectives of the composting as well as the advantages of the composting. And after having the advantages of the composting process, we have discussed the benefits of the compost product and the disadvantages of the composting process. Then, after having the historical perspective, we have discussed the microorganisms which are responsible for the composting. These can be microorganisms as well as macroorganisms. We also call them chemical decomposers as well as physical decomposers. Then there are many other factors which have to be like kept in mind for the development of the compost setup. The values of oxygen level, type of aerobic bacteria, psychrophilic, mesophilic, and thermophilic. Other microorganisms, macroorganisms, few macroorganisms which are responsible for the physical decomposition of the solid waste which has been put into the compost plant. Then there were various factors, for example, food factor, carbon to nitrogen factor, air factor, moisture content factor, temperature factor, pH value factor, particle size factor, and volume factor. Then commonly used material which are like added in the compost pile. अब जब मैंने आपको बता दिया कि आपकी जो ओवरऑल आपकी यहाँ पे था, यस, जब मैंने आपको बता दिया कि कार्बन टू नाइट्रोजन रेशियो मस्ट बी अराउंड 25 to 30 कार्बन एंड 1 नाइट्रोजन, तो आपको आइडिया हो गया कि अब ये रेंज हमने मेंटेन करनी है। तो उसके अगेंस्ट आप मुख्तलिफ जो आपकी जो आप कह लें कि आपकी कंपोजिशन है, फॉर एग्जांपल आप लोग अपनी प्रोजेक्ट्स कर रहे हैं तो उसमें आप लोग ये चीज़ इनकॉर्पोरेट कर सकते हैं कि आपके जो आपने जो सॉलिड वेस्ट सिस्टम चुना है उसमें आपके वेस्ट में कितनी कंपोजिशन ऐसी है जो कि ऑर्गेनिक है, और उसके कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स कौन कौन से हैं उनका टेबल बना, उन कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स का आगे लिटरेचर रिव्यू से, चाहे यहाँ से आपको मिल जाता है चाहे आपको लिटरेचर रिव्यू करना पड़ेगा, उनकी आप कार्बन टू नाइट्रोजन रेशियो मेंशन कर देते हैं। देन यू वुड बी डिड्यूसिंग द फाइनल like percentages of in terms of the addition to the कंपोस्ट पाइल, कि आपको पता होगा कि अच्छा हमारे पास ये इस टाइप का वेस्ट है तो इसकी इतनी है, तो हमारे पास जो है ऐड होने के बाद टोटल जो है वो एवरेज इतनी हो जाएगी, तो आप उसको इनकॉर्पोरेट करते हैं इन टर्म्स ऑफ द बिजनेस। ठीक है, तो ये चीज़ें आपने डिस्कस कर ली हैं। ये बेसिक इसकी फैक्टर्स हैं और बेसिक टर्मिनोलॉजीज़ हैं जो हमने डिस्कस किए हैं। इसके बाद हमने रिलेटिवली कमर्शियल और द बिज़नेस सेटअप की तरफ जाना है कि हम किस तरह से इसको डिज़ाइन करते हैं, कौन कौन सी टाइप्स की हैं। फॉर एग्जांपल यहाँ पे विंडरो कंपोस्टिंग है जो मैंने आपको इनिशियली इस आप कह लें कि आई हैव पुट दैट पिक्चर एट द वेरी फर्स्ट स्लाइड ऑफ दिस लेक्चर। And then we have in vessel or the vessel composting, and finally we have new or the advanced biological methods for the production of compost. So we have to discuss all these three categories in next lecture in terms of the its designing, और इसमें भी ज़्यादा डिज़ाइनिंग जो इन्वॉल्व है बल्कि सिर्फ इसकी डिज़ाइनिंग जो है वो हम अप्लाई करते हैं। उसकी वजह ये है कि बोथ ऑफ दीज प्रोसेसेस विच आर लिस्टेड एट द सेकंड एंड थर्ड नंबर, these cater the small quantities of the waste in terms of the compost production, but we are discussing and studying the course for managing the entire community's waste. That's why we would be having the compost designing plant for as windrow process. All right, सो इस चीज़ को हम डिस्कस करेंगे, इसी को हम डिज़ाइन करेंगे, एंड लेटर ऑन हम इन दोनों प्रोसेस को भी डिस्कस कर लेंगे उसके साथ ही। तो दिस इज़ द ओवरऑल लाइक सिनारियो ऑफ दिस कंपोस्ट लेक्चर। Along with this, I would like to clarify that this is only one option in processing and recovery system, and that too for the organic waste only. We haven't touched the inorganic systems. We haven't addressed the inorganic waste, that how to convert or recover or reuse or recycle that waste. So there are a lot of processes like incineration, gasification, pyrolysis, compost, biogas production and all that. तो आप इन सारे प्रोसेसेस को एक सिंगल कैटेगरी के अंडर रखते हैं, दैट इज प्रोसेसिंग एंड रिकवरी, एंड इसको आप कंसीडर करते हैं एज ए फंक्शनल एलिमेंट। और आप अपने वेस्ट की डिटेल स्टडी कंडक्ट करते हैं एंड यू सिलेक्ट योर फिजिबल ऑप्शंस कि आप कौन से ऑप्शन की तरफ जा सकते हैं, एंड यू ऑल after putting all those options at the table, you select the most optimum and favorable and the logical option from those options, and then you add that option into your solid waste management system. Or that's why we are like calling this entire figure as integrated solid waste management system, क्योंकि हम इसमें बहुत सारे प्रोसेसेस को इन्वॉल्व कर रहे हैं और बहुत सारी जो हमारी चीज़ें हैं उनको इनकॉर्पोरेट करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। तो ये आपको आइडिया होना चाहिए कि अगर आपने कंपोस्टिंग पढ़ ली है, या लास्ट लेक्चर हमने अगर याद करें, हम रिकॉल करें, तो उसमें जस्ट हमने डिफरेंट प्रोसेसेस पढ़े थे, फिजिकली कैसे चेंज कर सकते हैं, बेलिंग क्या होता है, श्रेडिंग क्या होता है, कॉम्पैक्टिंग क्या होता है, डेंसिफाइंग क्या होता है, आप उसका साइज कैसे कम करते हैं, उसका वॉल्यूम कैसे कम करते हैं। तो ये सारी चीज़ें जो हैं वो आपने लास्ट लेक्चर में डिस्कस की थी। तो वो भी प्रोसेसेस हैं जो अप्लाई कर रहे हैं आप वेस्ट के ऊपर। दैट्स व्हाई वी पुट दोज processes under this functional element as well. इसी तरह हमने ऑर्गेनिक प्रॉपर्टीज कुछ पढ़ी थी कि ऑर्गेनिक प्रॉपर्टीज किस तरह से होती हैं, लिग्निन कंटेंट किस तरह से फाइंड आउट करते हैं, फ्लाइज के बारे में हमने पढ़ा था। इसी तरह से हम बाकी उसकी जो लाइफ साइकिल था उसको ब्रीफली हमने डिस्कस किया। तो ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर डिस्क्राइबिंग द processes and recovery setups in terms of the solid waste management system. तो इस वजह से हमें इन चीज़ों को प्लेस करना अंडर द कैटेगरी ऑफ प्रोसेसिंग एंड रिकवरी, एंड इट इज़ कंसिडर्ड एज द सिंगल फंक्शनल एलिमेंट ऑफ द सॉलिड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम। If you, any one of you have any question, he or she can ask, please.
No, sir.
There is no question to ask. मतलब बिल्कुल समझ नहीं आई आप लोगों को। हाँ जुनैरा,
यस सर।
नहीं समझ आई?
सर आ गई है।
या तो मुझसे भी ज़्यादा समझ आ गई या बिल्कुल नहीं आई, दो ही चीज़ें हैं। और अगर आ गई है तो फिर मैं क्वेश्चन पूछता हूँ। सबाहत, सबाहत है हमारे साथ? असदुल्ला, कंदील,
यस सर।
आपको समझ आई है?
यस सर।
तंजीला, सिद्रा प्रवीण,
यस सर।
आपको समझ आ रही है कि क्या चल रहा है ये क्लास में?
जी सर, समझ आ रही है।
मुस्तफ़ा हैदर, वहास,
यस सर।
समझ आ रही है आपको?
जी सर।
चलें ठीक है, गुड है, ठीक है।